Welcome back to the most news in the morning. If you're waking up to headlines like this one on the front page of the New York Times today, recession drains Social Security and Medicare, you might be worried about your future. While the latest report card on the social safety net is not encouraging, our next guest says when it comes to Social Security, it's much ado about nothing. Bob Weiner is the former chief of staff for the House Committee on Aging, and he joins us now from Washington. Bob, you say everybody's got it wrong on these alarm bells that were being sounded yesterday about Social Security. How do we have it wrong?
Well, John, first, thanks for having me on the show. And not everyone has it wrong. There are a lot of experts in Social Security who understand that this is a program that has been the most successful one in the history of American social programs, taking half of senior citizens out of poverty. Half of seniors rely on Social Security for 90% of their income.
Right, but what do we have wrong, though?
Well, the program is solvent for the next 30 years. And even then, when they say insolvent, it still will be able to pay 75% of the benefits, even under the worst economic model. And the economic model that they're using, John, is the crash that we're in right now. So they've taken the worst case scenario instead of recognizing that the economy will improve and that we'll go back to a solvency situation with Social Security.
So what the Social Security trustees have said, Bob, is that the system is going to go insolvent in the year 2037. That's 4 years earlier than had been thought. It was earlier thought that it was going to be 2041. But they say that they have taken into account the bad economy and an economic recovery beginning next year. So what are they missing?
Well, they're missing the fact that 11 years there have been deficits that the Social Security Trust Fund has already absorbed. In the past 15 years, there have been 3 times that they've stated that the system will go downward rather than upward. This is a fluctuating system. And what we have now, John, and I don't want to get into the weeds, but you have the lowest birth rate by the baby boomers, 2.1. You have a 2.9 birth rate for the current baby boomers, but they're having the fewest children. So as soon as you get past this little blip, the system goes back into complete solvency. And that's a point that nobody takes into account.
So you're saying basically that pressure will be taken off as we go forward. But you do say, though, and Tim Geithner was talking about this yesterday, Medicare and Medicaid are the real problems here. They're expected to go broke in 2017. I mean, this is a real problem, is it not?
That is the real problem. Social Security is solvent for at least 30 years, and 1/3 of the cost of the Iraq War or 1/3 of the tax cuts, even then in the worst case scenario, would solve it. Let's worry about that in 30 years. As Nancy Pelosi said, first do no harm. But Medicare is in dire straits, and it can be solved with allowing imports, it can be solved with volume buying, and it can be solved with the national health care program that seems to be a consensus toward right now.
Right. I mean, let's take a look at the burdens that Medicare and Medicaid are going to be suffering in the next, I guess, 8 years. 2008, we had 45 million people who were on Medicare, cost $11,000 per year per person. 2018, that number is expected to rise to 59 million as the baby boomers retire, an average cost per person of $17,000 a year. I mean, what are we looking at here? We're looking at higher taxes, higher copays, higher deductibles. Health care for seniors going to cost a lot more than it's costing right now?
No, you're looking at cost controls in the healthcare system as the president has proposed, and you're looking at building a volume through national health insurance that will be able to absorb these kinds of problems. We have to get a handle on healthcare or it's going to break us. It's costing $1,200 per car, which is one of the reasons that the auto industry is in dire straits for health insurance. Business, the hospitals, the doctors, there's a building consensus for the first time to solve the problems that are not only in Medicare, but in all of health insurance, where you have 47 million people that don't have health insurance.
Well, we'll see if they hear you in Washington today, Bob. Worry about Medicare, leave Social Security alone for the time being.
Correct.
Bob Weiner, thanks very much. Kieran?
It's a pleasure.